All right, kids, in this exercise, we are going to begin to assemble our classic heart shape using the arc tool. And this actually turns out to be about the best approach to making a classic heart shape that there is, because there is no heart tool inside of Illustrator. And you can use something like the pen tool, but the arc tool provides better constraints. So let me show you how it works. I've saved my progress as allguides.ai found inside the 04 line art folder. And I'd like you to drop down to this tool, whatever it is, under the T, and switch over to the arc tool. And then draw an arc. Now make sure before you do that the drawing layer is active, because we do want to go ahead and add our shapes to the drawing layer. Notice, by the way, that you can lock the guides layer by clicking in this little lock column next to the eyeball. And that will lock down the guides, but when guides are locked, they're no longer snappy. And we need them to have the power of the snap, that magnetic force that draws our cursor to them so that we get perfect alignment. So go ahead and turn off the lock. And if you want to lock your guides down, go back up to the view menu, choose guides and choose lock guides. That goes ahead and locks them, but it also keeps them snappy. All right, anyway, we're on the drawing layer. Go ahead and draw from this guide intersection right there. Notice it's not quite the center of the artboard. It's up from that. And I want you to drag like so. And that's not really the angle that we're looking for out of this arc. Notice that it's arcing in the wrong direction, at least for me. For you, it may be different. You may be getting a nice convex curve, but in my case, I'm getting a concave curve. And in order to flip it, you press the F key. So F for flip, and it'll flip it to the other direction right there. And we also want to constrain this arc so that instead of being a quarter ellipse that is either wider than it is tall or taller than it is wide, we want it to have the same width and height, so it's actually a quarter of a circle. And you achieve that by pressing the Shift key as you draw. And once your cursor hits that guideline right there, as mine is, then I want you to release your mouse button like so, and then release the Shift key. So you want to have the Shift key down for the entire length of your drag. Now draw from this location here down to here. So in other words, you're dragging from that last point at which you left off down to this guide intersection. It's flipping the wrong direction. It definitely will do that for you. So press the F key in order to flip it the other direction. And you can press the Shift key or not at this point. We're already provided with some constraints by the guidelines, so you'll snap into alignment with that guide intersection right there. All right, so we've drawn the first hump. Good job, us. Now the question becomes, how do we get the rest of the heart? And it might be tempting to do one of these numbers where you draw an arc like this. You don't want to follow along with me. And then draw another one this direction, something like that. But that's a horrible heart. That looks just plain awful. And that's not the right approach. So let's go ahead and get the black arrow tool. And then you can drag around these two lines like so. Notice if you marquee a portion of two paths, that's what these guys are called, incidentally. Using the black arrow tool, it'll select them both. And then press the backspace key or the delete key on the Mac. All right, instead, the approach that we're going to take right here is to grab the arc tool once again, and I want you to draw from this location all the way down to here, this bottommost horizontally centered guide intersection. And notice that we have a convex curve when we want a concave one, so I'm going to press the F key in order to flip it. And we have the first half of our heart. Now, it may be difficult to believe that this qualifies as a half of a heart, but it actually will once we modify the curvature of this final segment here. And that's exactly what we're going to do in the next exercise.